I knew something was wrong the moment she didn't look me in the eyes. Don't like it? Then divorce me, Mia snapped, her voice cold enough to freeze me in place. She stood by the doorway adjusting her earrings, those glittering gold hoops I bought her for our 5th anniversary, while she applied a final stroke of lipstick as casually as if she were choosing a TV channel. My throat tightened. Why are you talking like this? Asked. She didn't answer. She only smirked at her own reflection, grabbed her clutch, and headed toward the door. And that was when the words I never imagined would leave my mouth came out. Calm, steady, almost eerily controlled. Mia. Who are you really going to meet tonight? Her hands froze mid-step. It was the first crack in her carefully composed mask. The first fracture. We had been married for 7 years, long enough to believe I understood the subtle shifts in her breathing, her moods, her silences. But the past 3 months, they'd been filled with late nights, sudden shopping sprees for clothes too glamorous for girls' night, and a distant smile that felt borrowed from another life. I pretended not to notice. Pretended for the sake of my own heart. But tonight felt different. It wasn't the dress, black, backless, elegant, nor the perfume so unfamiliar it felt like someone else was wearing her body. It was her tone, sharp, caring, almost daring me to question her. Mia, I repeated quietly. Who are you meeting? She swung around, irritation flashing across her face. God, Daniel, not this again. I told you it's the club. It's the girls. You're suffocating me with all these questions. You said you'd be home early last time. I changed my mind. You came back at dawn. So what? She shot back. I'm an adult, not your property. My chest tightened. I never treated you like that. She rolled her eyes and reached for the door. That was the moment something inside me, the patient, hopeful part, finally snapped into clarity. Why would someone who loves me, I said quietly, tell me to divorce her? She didn't answer. She just left. Silence has a sound. Hours passed. The clock ticked. The TV murmured. The house felt unbearably spacious without her presence filling up the corners. I sat on the couch trying to read, pretending to work, pretending not to stare at my phone every 30 seconds. By midnight, pretending became impossible. A sudden impulse pulled me upstairs, to her side of the closet. I didn't know what I was looking for. Maybe nothing, maybe everything. On the top shelf was a shoebox I had never seen. Inside, perfume receipts, club entry wristbands, and a small velvet pouch containing earrings I'd never seen her wear. Then a photo slipped out. A photo taken at a club, her face half-turned, smiling. Not at the camera, but at the man standing beside her. A man's hand rested on her waist. Familiar, comfortable, practiced. My heart stopped, then painfully restarted. I felt heat burn behind my eyes. Not tears. Anger. Anger at myself for being blind. For believing her half-truths and dismissive laughter. For loving someone who no longer cared if I hurt. But above all, anger at the betrayal. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. She's here again. Followed by a blurred photo. Mia dancing, pressed close against the same man from the club picture. My hands trembled. Not with fear. With certainty. 3. The drive. The steering wheel felt colder than usual as I drove through empty streets, each passing streetlight slicing the car in alternating bands of shadow and light. I wasn't going to cause a scene. I wasn't going to fight. I just needed truth. The kind she refused to give. The club's neon sign glowed like a wound against the night sky. Music thumped through the walls, the bass vibrating through my ribs as I walked in. I scanned the crowd, and then I saw her. For the moment everything changes. She wasn't dancing. She was leaning against the bar, laughing at something he whispered into her ear. Her hand, my wife's hand, rested on his arm like she'd forgotten what my touch felt like. I stepped closer. Her laughter froze. Her eyes widened, not with guilt but annoyance. "Oh great," she snapped loudly. "You followed me?" The man beside her straightened, eyes narrowing. "Mia," I said quietly, We need to talk. Talk, he scoffed. About what? My clothes. My friends. How I should behave. I'm so tired of being judged. I never judged you, I said. I asked you to be honest. She rolled her eyes again. God, that gesture. How many truths had she dismissed with it? Daniel, she sighed dramatically. You're imagining things. This, she gestured to the man beside her, is Caleb. We're just friends. Caleb smirked, and something in his expression made the truth painfully clear. Friends was an insultingly weak word for what they were. I felt something inside me collapse. Mia, I said softly, just tell me. Is there something between you two? For a moment, her face flickered fear, uncertainty, regret. But then she steadied herself. You know what, she said, voice rising so the crowd could hear. I'm sick of your insecurity. If you don't like my life, then divorce me. I already told you that. People turned to stare. She didn't care. Her words should have broken me. Instead, they clarified something inside me, something sharp and clean. I stepped closer, meeting her eyes. Okay, I said. Her eyebrows shot up. Okay, what? Okay, I repeated, calm and steady. If divorce is what you want, then I won't fight you. She blinked fast once, twice. She wasn't expecting that. Caleb shifted awkwardly. Mia looked between us, suddenly uneasy. Daniel, don't make this dramatic. No drama, I said. Just honesty. The one thing you never gave me. I turned to leave. Mia, I added without looking back. I loved you enough to fix anything. But I won't beg to be in a marriage you walked out of months ago. For the first time all night, she had no comeback. 5. The aftermath. I drove home alone. But it wasn't the loneliness that hurt. It was the silence after years of trying, forgiving, hoping. When I reached the house, I didn't break anything. Didn't scream. Didn't cry. I simply sat in the dark, remembering the woman I married. And realizing she didn't exist anymore. Hours later, just before dawn, the door opened. Mia stepped inside hesitantly. Daniel, can we please talk? Her voice was soft now. Afraid. I didn't look at her. Not because I hated her, but because I no longer recognized her. She sat across from me on the couch. Nothing happened, she whispered. With him. I was just lost. I needed to feel alive. To feel wanted. You were so distant, so. Don't rewrite the story, I said quietly. I was distant because you pushed me away. Yes, Mia. I tried. She swallowed, tears forming. I didn't think you'd actually leave. I didn't leave, I said. You did. Her tears fell then, slow, deliberate, almost too late to matter. Daniel, please. I made a mistake. Yes, I said calmly. You did. I stood up, walked to the bedroom, and returned with her suitcase. She stared at it in disbelief. Is this really happening? She whispered. You told me to divorce you, I replied. Tonight, for the first time, I realized you meant it. Her breathing hitched. I didn't mean it like. You meant it enough to replace me before the words even finished leaving your mouth. She covered her face, sobbing now. Sobbing the way people do when consequences finally arrive. Open the door. Mia, I said softly. I hope you find whatever you were searching for. But it isn't here anymore. She stood slowly, shoulders shaking, and walked toward the doorway. Halfway out she turned back. Do you still love me? She whispered. Closed my eyes. Well, maybe. It didn't matter. I'll love the memory of who you were, I said. But I can't love who you've become. The door clicked shut behind her. 6. The ending that hurts the most. The sun rose in streaks of gold and amber, casting long shadows across the silent house. A marriage doesn't collapse in one night. It collapses in the small choices, in the words spoken carelessly, in the silences that grow too wide to fill. I sat alone watching the lights slowly fill the room. My phone buzzed. A message from Mia. I'm sorry. Type nothing. Instead I looked out the window. Really looked. And breathed for the first time in months. Sometimes heartbreak doesn't explode. Sometimes it settles quietly. A realization. Release. Tonight I didn't lose my wife. I lost the illusion of one. And in the quiet that followed, finally found myself.